Hello, it is Saturday, January 15th, 2022. I'm Chris Remo, and welcome back to my New York Times Crossword Daily Solve. It's a Saturday puzzle, so we might be in for the toughest solve of the week. Another themeless puzzle to follow up yesterday's themeless, the Friday, which I really enjoyed. I thought that was a great, very solid themeless puzzle, and hopefully we've got another one of those in store for us today. But first, I would like to thank a few people. Today I would like to thank Skella Chicken, Cass Wilkinson Saldana, and, as always, the inestimable Hood Monster. And sort of a nice coincidence that Cass Wilkinson Saldana's day came up today because she also left a very kind comment in yesterday's video, and I might read that in the yesterday's comments section. But first, I'll mention a few things. If you're interested, I should thank these people in particular because they're benefactors of the Daily Solve Patreon campaign. So they're helping support this channel directly, making it a sustainable enterprise for me, which I hugely appreciate. And thank you to everybody who's backed the Patreon campaign at any level, at any tier whatsoever. At any tier, you get access to all of the bonus video solves that I've posted on there over the months, and the new ones going up all the time, including the most recent week of mini puzzle speed solves that I posted yesterday, including a bonus dog cameo at the end of the video. And I also solved yesterday the most recent New York Times acrostic puzzle. I've not yet done the post-production on that video because I've been posting so many bonus videos recently, but I will get that one up soon. Definitely a big improvement for me on the acrostic scores. Improved my time significantly from the past two, if you're a Patreon subscriber and have been keeping up with that. Anyway, that's all. So now there's the Twitter channel. I haven't mentioned that in a while. At the Daily Solve, so you can follow me there if you like. Okay, but let's discuss a few clues from yesterday's puzzle, and there were actually several. So Kathleen Quinn explains that a boater hat, which has come to be associated with barbershop quartets, is also known as a basher or a skimmer. It is a distinct type of straw hat with a stiff flat top and brim. A wide piece of ribbon is often wound around the crown. They are common in Venice, worn by the gondola pullers, the gondoliers. Of course it is. I mean, this is the thing about solving on these videos is sometimes things just fall out of my brain. And the instant Kathleen started describing this hat, I could instantly picture it. I know exactly what she's talking about. I'm sure you do as well. If you looked it up, you'd recognize it. That flat-brimmed straw hat, and I just couldn't think of it. Anyway, that was referenced in yesterday's puzzle, and there we go. Kathy Swope explains that "Same Love," the song with which I was unfamiliar in yesterday's puzzle, and that caused me to briefly caused my puzzle to not validate until I fixed it. Anyway, the song "Same Love" is an anthem for marriage rights, especially known for Queen Latifah performing 33 marriages live during the song at the 2014 Grammy Awards. So thanks, Kathy, for that clarification. As always, I'm out of touch with large swaths of pop culture. Robert Stevenson explains that sloe is a name for blackthorn. It is like the damson in the plum family. So I was right with my guess that sloe is a name for blackthorn and sloe are the same plant, but I wasn't actually familiar with it, so that was basically a guess. So thank you, Robert. And Retboy1 confirms that indeed verbiage, the word verbiage, came up in yesterday's puzzle, refers to excess verbosity or technicality of written language, with the implication that it disrupts the narrative flow or comprehensibility of a piece of written work. So thank you, Retboy1. That is good to have confirmed. And Jake McGuffey speculates that when I confused Riva and Rima in yesterday's puzzle in the Italian rhyme scheme, or poetic form, perhaps you were thinking Riva because it coming from the Italian part of the clue, as Riva is a town in the north of Italy. I'm almost certain that is why I made that mistake. I sort of saw Italian brain accessed something from the memory banks, and it was not the correct thing to access. And finally, here's that comment from Cass. I just thought this was really very kind. Cass says, "I wanted to write a quick note of TDS appreciation. Before I started watching, I had solved maybe a dozen puzzles in my life, most at college cafeteria tables with encouraging fellow dorks, but still. I started watching and solving along, and somehow I'm at 125 solves in the New York Times app, and can even solve some Fridays like this one without looking things up. More important than that, crosswords are a part of my life and something I share with friends and family. Thanks for providing such a kind-hearted and accessible on-ramp into this corner of puzzledom. It's been a blast." Well, thank you, Cass. That is an incredibly it's incredibly gratifying to read that comment. I really appreciate it. And I think I think the point about sharing crosswords is a great one. I can't I can't really do that directly now with other people in my life that I'm doing these on the video, but I am sharing them with all of you, and so I'm getting quite a lot of that benefit regardless. But if such a nice thing about solving crosswords that actually doesn't really apply to number puzzles like Sudoku, which I do also enjoy, but you can't really share them with people in real time in the same way. You can't really call out a clue and have a friend or family member answer it. It is a great thing about word puzzles in particular. They're a little less abstract than number puzzles, and they can be shared in that way. I think I've mentioned, I've been trying to get better at cryptic crosswords, which is something I've always been intimidated by cryptic crosswords, and it wasn't until the past several months that I've started really trying to dip my toe in them. And I have a friend with whom I solve them. We're both about the same level of maybe sort of straddling the line between beginner and intermediate when it comes to cryptic crossword skills. And one of my favorite things to do is to solve a cryptic with him, and we'll each sort of tackle the same clues at the same time, see who can get it first. And it's incredibly enjoyable. And of course, you can do that with a regular crossword as well. So anyway, I just had my heart warmed by that comment, and I wanted to read it out. Anyway, let's get on to today's puzzle. This is a Saturday crossword, so a difficult, themeless puzzle. That's the intention for Saturday. It was constructed by Sam Ezersky, and many of you may be familiar with Sam's name because he is the editor of The Spelling Bee, the New York Times, one of the other New York Times word games that really took the world by storm during the pandemic, I would say. Spelling Bee and then Wordle have been the two word game phenomena of the pandemic era. And Sam Ezersky is the editor of The Spelling Bee, and also, obviously, a crossword constructor in his own right. So this will be fun. Edited, as always, by Will Shorts. And actually, I forgot to, because I was already familiar with who Sam was, I forgot to look him up. But I think I do think he's constructed several dozen crosswords, so he's quite an experienced constructor. Anyway, let's get going. Squarely. So squarely could be, directly or accurately, that kind of thing, but I'm not sure yet. So let's go on. Not straight up. Well, if you serve a drink straight up, it's without ice. So could this be rocks or on ice? Or no, I don't really see any version of that fits. You could just say rocks. You could say on ice. You could say over ice, but none of those are all off by a letter or two. So I don't think it's any of those. Old world bird with distinctive ear tufts. Not sure offhand. I hope I get that, obviously, with some crosses. Baby's barnyard bovine. Nice alliterative clue. I suspect that's a moo cow. So let's see if that, and the baby, of course, indicates this is going to be childish language, essentially, moo cow. All right, let's look at the crosses, see if that helps. Eye-opening declaration. Eye-opening declaration. Wake up or declaration. And there's a question mark, so some kind of pun. I assume that means that instead of eye-opening in the more common metaphorical sense, meaning increases your awareness, more generally, I assume it means it refers literally to opening one's eyes. Eye-opening declaration. Sorry, I feel as though I should be able to get that with only 4 letters, but I'm not seeing it. One jotting down a few notes. Composer, we have another question mark, so I'm wondering, again, indicating some kind of pun or wordplay. So I wonder if this is meaning music notes, maybe? But composer is too few letters. Songwriter? I mean, actually, songwriter would fit. But, oh no, it wouldn't, sorry. Oh, yes, it would. I misspelled it. I double-typed the O. So let's just, I'm not very confident in this, but let's check some crosses and see if it works. Watch here. A wrist. A wrist watch. Maybe that's what it is. And as I've pointed out a few times before, the exclamation point often means, not always, but often, means that this clue, rather than being a definition or a synonym of the answer, it's going to be referring to the answer. So the wrist, watch here. It's sort of something you're saying about the answer or in reference to the answer, rather than something that is equivalent to the answer, if that makes sense. So let's keep checking some crosses on these. I'm actually quite amazed that that worked. So hopefully it's not. Sometimes you get this, and you're compounding your erroneousness because you're just finding alternative fill that isn't correct. Make slicker, maybe. Re-oil? That I is unusual in that position in a word. So start of many a criticism. Not with that O. Yeah, I'm not crazy about that. Spiritual object. Well, that could be a totem, actually. So maybe we're on the right track. Maybe we're on the right track. Start of many a criticism. Oh, could be criticism as in cultural criticism or, literary or film criticism, for instance. What about this? Stick around school. Is there some kind of physical stick that... And what is this? Like apples and oranges. Acidic? I mean, they're both fruits? Could that possibly be right? One might be loaded. A dam or... I'm really worried that I'm just piling incorrect answer upon incorrect answer here. Some brief updates. Tweets. Yeah. Maybe this is all correct. I'm starting to... and a loaded die, as in loaded dice, plurally anyway. So a loaded die is a die that has weight added to it to make it more likely to roll a certain number. Safe. And here we have boxy delivery vehicles of old. Well, trucks looks like the end of the word, and trucks are certainly delivery vehicles. Oh, and safe means no risk. I am gobsmacked. I'm absolutely astonished that this is all working out. I'm very pleased. I'm pleased with myself, and I'm pleased generally that songwriter ended up seemingly working out for me here. So not straight up would be a slant. Okay, nothing to do with drinks at all. And an area for development could be a lot, a plot of land, a lot of land. A to Z, the entire thing, A to Z, entire. And eye-opening declaration, oh, I see, amen. So you'd say that at the end of a prayer and then open your eyes. I see, okay. So it's on the right track with the pun, but I wasn't finding its intended meaning. Crashing an online meeting. Oh, wonder if this will be some kind of Zoom-related concept. I put that I there because I assume that this will be ending in ing to match crashing. Zoom bombing, is that? I think that might have come up in a crossword before, maybe, or at least something like it. Zoom bombing. I wonder if that's true. I'm going to put that in there and remember that I'm not completely confident about it. So it's easy to remember those with these long clues. Easier to remember that than if you put in a very short word and try and remember that it's speculative. I know I could use the pencil tool as well. You know what? Maybe I'll do that. For maybe the first time in my entire life, I will use the pencil tool. Zoom bombing. There you go. This is an option that's available to you in the crossword and the New York Times crossword solving software anyway, that allows you to pencil words in a lighter shade, or pencil letters in, I should say, in a lighter shade. And then you can remember. You're not certain about them, although I'm fairly certain about this I. Locale for a castaway. Islet, maybe a small island? Prattles. Could be gabs or jaws, going on and on. Cold weather layer. I don't know about gabs. Get into a pose, perhaps. Yoga something, or... I'm not sure. What god is per an Ariana Grande hit? I have no idea. What about this? Boxy delivery vehicles of old. Don't know. And here to make slicker, maybe. Maybe it is re-oil. What was this? Start of many a criticism. Oh, I see. Too. Okay, so in other words, too difficult, this crossword. A criticism of this crossword, too difficult, for instance. Although hopefully not. Hopefully not an accurate criticism of this particular crossword. So probably is re-oil, actually. And a stick around school is a ruler. So a ruler, physically a stick, in this case a measuring stick, that you would use around school. World War I, World War II, etc. Those are eras, I suppose. The World War I era, the World War II era. I was listening to a historian recently who described the period that bridges World War I and World War II, sort of encompasses those as essentially the worst decades humanity has ever faced, which you can make a strong case for that, I suppose. Takes advantage of a situation, so to speak. Masters or manages, maybe? Or no, takes advantage of a situation. So that sort of implies sort of using it in some kind of self-interested way. I'm not completely certain. Let's, wonder if there's anything else we can do in this area since I have so many words already. Maybe not. I've sort of sequestered most of these. Because of the geometry of the grid, most of these answers are fairly hived off. Cold weather layer. Let's try to build things that connect to Zoom bombing. See if we can confirm or deny that. Let's check the crosses. As the Daily Soft Patreon campaign mug states, spot for a bus stop in Bristol. So this will be something using British language, I assume, British dialect or slang. I'm not really sure what it's alluding to. The spot for a bus stop in Bristol. And here we have simoleons. That's referring to money. Clams, maybe? Clams, also a slang term for money. It's interesting. I hadn't noticed this before, but so with regularly entered letters in the crossword, if you type over them, the cursor will skip over. See, it didn't overwrite the A. It skipped straight over it. But I've just noticed, and I didn't know this before because I never used the pencil tool, it won't overwrite, or rather it does overwrite the pencil tool, which makes sense because the pencil, I suppose, is intended to be tentative, not final. So if you're writing over it, I guess the software assumes you have a new idea about what it's going to be, and if you want the letter to stay the same, you would type it the same way. Anyway, just noticed that. Hadn't noticed before. Gets stuck as an engine. Oh, actually, the Z looks fairly likely here. It seizes, as in seizes up, or, I mean, freezes would kind of work, but it doesn't fit. So would that work? Seizes? Creatures whose newborns have striped bodies. Efts? Striped bodies. Emus? Seems maybe more likely than efts. All blank. All. Not sure. Youngest ever cute quarterback to be named Super Bowl MVP 2020. Oh, I have no idea. Grow too old for. Out. Grow too old for. And here we have squarely. Sincerely, no. Old world bird with distinctive ear tufts and a sympathetic response to dissent. I understand, or I relate, or I can see, or I'm not sure. I'm going to delete this, and maybe this as well. Let's look elsewhere. We'll come back to this zone. London's blank square. All right. Well, I live in London. Why can I not think of what this is? Boy, I'm not sure offhand. Wined and dined, say. Could be wooed, pursued someone's affections. Grow too old for. Well, it ends in W just like grow, but because grow is in the clue, it won't be in the answer. Boy, I had a great spurt of progress, and now I'm really hitting a wall, aren't I? 2010 fan site craze, whose members joined Hogwarts houses. Well, it must be Harry Potter related, right? No idea. And here, ho procedure. Yo ho, as in yo ho ho, but we're not going to put the ho. We're not going to put the same word back in the answer. Tally ho, maybe. Maybe wooed is incorrect. Tally ho, that would fit. And then wined and dined would be what? Dated, maybe. Actually, that would allow an ed for grow too old for here, which... Oh, no, that doesn't make sense. Never mind. I was thinking it was past tense, but it's not. And then ho procedure. So if that were tally, let's just try it. Wiped out. And main ingredient in hitsumabashi. I don't know. Eel, maybe? Hitsumabushi. I don't know that dish. Mirabile blank. Wonderful to say. Latin. Dicta or something, maybe? I don't know. Wiped out. So it could be wiped out as in had a terrible accident, or wiped out as in very tired. I should learn more Latin at some point. It would help me with the crossword. What rotates through the office? Question mark. Some kind of pun. Things aren't looking so great. Country song. An anthem, maybe, as in a national anthem. Something you might, a song about a country, I mean, as opposed to country, the genre of music. Something you might raise a flap about. And any of the seven dwarves. Any of the seven dwarves. A minor, right? There are minors. Okay, maybe I should finally delete all of this because it was all extremely speculative. I wasn't very confident about any of it, I have to say. Any of the seven dwarves. A minor, I think they were. And blue-nosed sorts. Blue-nosed sorts. Get smart. Could be smart as in intelligent, but it also could be smart. It could be smart as in well-dressed, and it also could be smart as in sassy, being smart with someone. Like many apps with faulty features. What does that mean? Oh, in beta, perhaps. The apps are not yet released. They have not yet finished development. They're in beta testing at the moment. Maybe that's what that is. Kind of drive. And ho procedure. Okay, so if this is minor, then ho procedure is not tally. What is it? What rotates through the office? Oh, maybe air? Circulated air, perhaps? This would be an I. Things aren't looking so great. What? Oh, boy. Let's go back. Let's just run through the across clues and try to solve the crossword normally. I'm starting to get a little too scattered here. Blank tide. It could be the neap tide. That would fit in 4 letters. Takes advantage of a situation, so to speak. Makes something. And then here we have gold units. Oh, carrots. KTS, is that the abbreviation for carrots? There's a caret with a C and a caret with a K, but K would work much better here. Majestic. And Dalmatian mascot of the National Fire Protection Association. I don't know, spotty or something? Dalmatians have spots. Well-suited. I wonder if that could mean natty as in well-dressed. Let's keep looking around. Kind of drive. Locale 60 miles south of the California-Oregon border. Oh, Mount Shasta, I bet. I kind of lucked out knowing that. It's in California. And majestic, stately, of course. Could have gotten that earlier if I were a little more on the ball. The catchphrase of Winnie the Pooh is, oh, bother. Oh, bother. That's what I should have been saying throughout much of the solve of this crossword. Oh, Dalmatian mascot must be Sparky, I suppose. That must be a reference to, I don't know, being careful not to start electrical fires or something like that. To be honest with you. Talk. Probably has the word talk. And what is this? Takes advantage of a situation, so to speak. The so to speak, should have paid more attention to that. It's a colloquial phrase. It's an idiomatic phrase. Makes hay, although maybe this Dalmatian mascot isn't Sparky, but Sparks. Oh, actually, No, sorry, this is make K. Oh, this is 4 Ys in a row. Look at this. Date format on digital forms. So at least the American date format would be month, month, day, day, year, 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 year. In other words, 2 digits for month, 2 digits for day, and 4 digits for year. There we go. Okay. All right, so made some good progress here. I'm glad I went back to simply solving the across clues sequentially because I was getting quite held up. Word after foot or before hands, hold, hands, or foot hold. There we go. To be honest with you, oh, I see. So this is sort of a modern phrase. Real talk, you might say, real talk. To be honest with you, things aren't looking so great. It's bad. Well, that was straightforward. I made it harder than it needed to be. But I do find it is difficult to get these spoken phrases. I mean, to be fair to myself or to anyone else who didn't get this immediately, when the answer is another spoken phrase, and in this case, this doesn't have to be the case, but it often is, when the clue is in quotation marks, often the answer will be as well. It'll be another spoken phrase. That can be hard to get because there's tend to be a high number of things you could say in the given situation. Okay, so what was this? This was that rotating air. All right, let's keep solving the acrosses. Creator of the first pumped up athletic shoe. I don't know, Reebok, I suppose. It fits in the number of cells and has an E where it needs to be. Popular typeface similar to Bauhaus. Boy, that's an interesting one. I'm not sure offhand. I don't know. I hope I see it with maybe even one more cross. That would be nice, but I'm not sure. Response akin to so what? Oh, I see. Okay. Oh, no, I was going to say okay, so, but so is already in the clue, so that's not going to be it. Is it okay or okay or something like that? I don't think so. Let's look at some of the downs. Blue-nosed sorts. It probably ends with an S. Oh, Smurfs. Okay. Wasn't in any way on the right track with that one until just this last moment. I was trying to imagine, I don't know, sort of, I was trying to think, does blue nosing mean something in the way that brown nosing does? What does that mean? But no, it's a question mark indicating we shouldn't be, well, actually, it's funny that this does have the question mark. I don't know. I mean, I suppose the question mark just means maybe in this case, just think about this a different way maybe than your first thought would be. Kind of drive. Maybe in beta is incorrect. What is this? Kind of drive. Herb? No idea what that is. And here the popular, Futura is the typeface similar to Bauhaus. I probably could have gotten that earlier. I've used this typeface quite a lot. So hopefully that helps. 2021 Super Bowl champ. No idea. I don't know. Maybe it's not Futura. I'd be surprised because response akin to so what? Is it just the word okay? Is it really just that? And I suppose that okay can be a response meaning so what. It's really dependent on tone. Okay, you'd have to say it that sort of way. Out of it. Could be spacey. You're spaced out. You're out of it. The 2021 Super Bowl champ, Buck. Is that the Buccaneers? All right. I'm not surprised that I didn't get that, but I'm sure many of you did immediately. To get smart. To wise up. There we go. Oh, a USB drive. Okay, sorry. USB drive. So indeed, in beta and Smurfs are both correct. And we have in beta and USB, both sort of computer terms crossing each other. Okay. That might be a tough one. The in beta might be particularly tough. I don't know. What rotates throughout the office? I don't know. Why do I not see what this is? And here we have 2010's fansite craze, whose members joined Hogwarts houses. All right, it's got to be Potter related. Would Potter fit here? It would. Pottermore. Pottermore. I wonder if that's the answer. Boxy delivery vehicles of old. And here we have London's blank square. Is it Soho Square? Ho preheater. Ho preceder. Sorry. Oh, heave ho. There we go. Okay, yeah, it must be Soho. Soho Square. Okay. The original neighborhood of Soho, predating the existence of Soho in New York. And actually, it's funny that I thought this would rhyme with tally-ho, because I believe the etymology of Soho in London is that it was the site of hunting grounds or a hunting lodge, and Soho was you'd yell that in the hunt, and similarly, I guess tally-ho as well. And it's funny that this says ho preceder, and then here, in fact, we have ho right there. Anyway, fun little cross. So completely different etymology to the Soho, New York, which is south of Houston Street. All right. Wined and dined, say, oh, could be feted. So had a party for someone, you feted them, you celebrated them, you wined and dined them. Maybe that's the answer. And the main ingredient in hitsumabushi could still be eel, actually. Let's try that. Oh, a swivel chair rotates through the office. I really did myself a disservice by trying to imagine air. I was imagining cycling air through an office with a commercial air conditioning system. But no, it's a swivel chair. Okay, there we go. Wiped out. Ate it. So this is the version of wipe out that has had a big accident. And mirabile, maybe it is dictu then instead of dicta. Mirabile dictu, wonderful to say, Latin. And something you might raise a flap about, a tent flap. And how things typically are, I never even looked at this clue. Things typically are the norm. That would be typical, normal. All right, great. So we've solved the southern hemisphere of this puzzle and the eastern hemisphere as well. All that remains is the northwest. Why do I not see this boxy? Oh, postal trucks? No. Boxy delivery vehicles of old. And prattles and creatures. Right, okay. I've got to break into this area, don't I? To grow too old for. Something of. So to grow too old for something, to something of something. What is it? That's actually frustrating because I think this of is a self-contained word as opposed to allowing me to build something onto it. But age out of, there we go. All right. Apologies if you've been spotting that, waiting for me to do so as well. But age out of, and that's good. That gives me some crosses, which is what I wanted. All blank, all set, looks right. And creatures whose newborns have striped bodies, maybe it is emus. Type that Z in there probably. So I guess if the Z's in there, the whole thing is definitely Zoom bombing. Youngest ever QB to be named Super Bowl MVP. I'm just not going to know this. I'm really not. That's frustrating. Sympathetic response to dissent. I hear you. Okay. I can't remember if that was one of the answers I speculated, but whether or not it is, needed some crosses in order to confirm it. So get stuck as an engine may indeed be seizes, actually. An old world bird with distinctive ear tufts, an eagle something. And, all right, the quarterback. Nahomis, I have no idea. Squarely. Smack dab, maybe? Mahomes, is that a person? Smack dab. Cold weather layer. Oh, blubber. Like an animal, like a whale blubber, for instance. Spot for a bus. Oh, I see. Stop for a bus stop in Bristol. So curb. This is the British spelling of curb, as in a roadside. Kerb, whereas I think in the US more commonly curb. So that's what that was getting at. So indeed, in this case, Bristol does refer. Bristol is an indicator that we should be using British spelling of this word. And indeed, that's what happened. Okay, so get into a pose, perhaps. Dry out? Doesn't seem to mean anything. What god is per an Ariana Grande hit? Atomic? Doesn't seem right. Sorry, again, I'm sure that these are screaming out at many of you. I guess I can probably put in Zoom bombing. prattles. So the probably gabs now that we have a cross. So this is one of those answers that could have, I think, quite plausibly been several possibilities, but we've confirmed. Oh, to get into, it was yoga related. To get into a pose perhaps is to do yoga. There we go. All right. Why didn't I think of that when I thought of yoga? The eagle owl must be an old world bird. I think I can picture what that is, actually, now that I see it. Oh, God is a woman per an Ariana Grande hit. Okay, there we go. And then panel trucks, boxy delivery vehicles of old. Okay, I'm actually not familiar with that piece of vocabulary, although I think I can imagine what this is referring to. And there's the crossword, Saturday. So indeed, I would consider this to have been more difficult than yesterday's puzzle. And of course, it's intended to be. But also, very good. Very good puzzle. I liked it a lot. Some really interesting answers there. Lots of, fair amount of modernity with the USB drive, the in-beta Zoom bombing, extremely modern. That's very much of the minute, I would say. I wonder how long it's... Excuse me. I tried solving once the very first New York Times crossword puzzle, and a lot of it, I have to say, was almost incomprehensible because so much of the language was outdated. I mean, there was plenty of it that wasn't outdated, of course, but some of it was. And I think Zoom bombing will be the kind of thing that someone trawling the archives in 20 years, in 2042, I suspect this will be a confusing answer for that person. Anyway, yeah, really, really nice crossword. Really enjoyed it. Extremely broad range of answers. And this is I hadn't really observed that this was the final clue and answer of the puzzle. This crazy collection of letters, MMDDYYYY. Anyway, let me know how you fared with this puzzle. I enjoyed it. Good, solid Saturday puzzle. Oh, I have a request. Sorry, this isn't relevant to anything I've been talking about. I meant to ask this at the beginning of the puzzle and I forgot, so maybe I'll ask again tomorrow if I don't get any answers. Does anybody know how to prevent the thumbnails of the short Wordle videos I've been posting, preventing those thumbnails from spoiling the answer to the Wordle puzzles? People keep messaging me about this, and I have no idea what to do about it. I upload custom thumbnails to all videos I post, and of course none of them have spoilers in them, so I don't know how to prevent YouTube doing that. And if anyone has any ideas, please do let me know. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed the video. I hope you've been enjoying those Wordle videos as well. If you've been solving them, I've been doing a 1 minute or less Wordle solve each day on the channel as well. So that's what I'm referring to there. I hope you enjoyed the puzzle. I hope you'll be back tomorrow for the Sunday. The big, enormous grid will probably take longer than this one, even though it may not be as difficult. Probably will not be as difficult, but might take twice as long. It seems to be how it goes. I hope you enjoyed the solve. Hope you enjoyed the video. Please do subscribe to the channel if you do enjoy it, and let a friend know if you like it and you think they might like it as well. Or why not solve a crossword with your family and then watch the daily solve together? I don't know if that's the kind of thing anyone's family would enjoy, but maybe. And anything else? I don't know. I think that's probably about it. I will, of course, be back tomorrow for the Sunday puzzle. But until then, please do have an excellent remainder of your Saturday. Take care.